not so long ago, America was caught up in the controversy of outsourcing jobs overseas. Well, now those jobs may be coming back. Joining me today is business relocation expert John Boyd, and let's talk about what you call reshoring, John.
Reshoring refers to the idea of jobs coming back to America for a variety of reasons, both cost-based and other factors. Our firm is entering its 5th decade in counseling corporations where to locate their facilities. And never before have global events shaped and impacted corporate site selection decisions more than exist today.
So you have, I would imagine, local politics, taxes, the changing geopolitical shift, all kinds of things to consider.
Absolutely. And we talk about these global factors. We're talking about the fiscal crisis in Europe and new austerity measures in Europe. We're talking about historic operating cost increases in China and increases in diesel fuel prices that are making it prohibitively expensive to ship goods from China to the U.S. And also parity with the Canadian dollar. For the first time in many, many years, the U.S. is a cost-effective place for Canadian companies to put offices and manufacturing facilities.
So it's becoming cheaper for businesses to do business here?
Certainly. All of those factors plus the historic bargains you can find in the U.S. with real estate and low operating costs and labor costs because of the recession. All of that really is the wind beneath the wings, if you will, for this reshoring trend.
Let me ask you about a current trend right now. You've got the Arab Spring going on in the Middle East.
Sure.
You have a lot of economic experts talking about the Middle East becoming the new economic engine. I believe Turkey and some of the other countries there, China is starting to do business with them. How does that, how do you weigh that versus the cultural climate of protest and things that are going on?
Business is very concerned about the instability and the uncertainty about the Arab Spring and the Muslim uprisings, not only in the Middle East but also in Northern Africa. And that is something also where companies are investing in the notion of being in the U.S. Because it's safer. It's safer to do business. We're seeing this in Mexico also with the instability in Mexico with the drug cartel wars.
Does that help the president and his campaign? I know both sides have been talking about bringing jobs back, but as this happens, we're 2 months away from the presidential election. Is this something that'll weigh big in presidential politics?
The reality is there are a lot of macroeconomic factors that are creating a climate where we can actually create jobs in this country again. But are there things that this administration is doing wrong? Of course. Number one, tax reform. It's a big contradiction for us to, as a nation, to say we want to create a manufacturing renaissance when we have the highest corporate income tax rate in the world. So we need comprehensive tax reform. We need immigration reform. Too much of the immigration debate is focused on the illegals at the border. We need to approach immigration as a way to attract the best and brightest workers. We have a skills gap in this country. Our schools and our colleges aren't producing enough good graduates, and it's difficult to hire good workers here in the U.S.
Right, and as I understand, we're competing with India and China.
Of course.
Big time for the brains.
So extending H-1B visas is another thing that we can do to improve the intellectual capital in this country.
Now, when we look at the downsides of other parts of the world where we've gone, where does Mexico sit in all of this?
Mexico is really a basket case right now, for lack of a better word. It's the security concerns in Mexico are enormous. Right now, the drug cartels are actually targeting Mexican law enforcement officers, and because of the low labor costs in the U.S., because of the recession, companies can go to states that are right-to-work states, like Florida, Texas, South Dakota, fiscally managed states, fiscally sound states, and not worry about a lot of the hidden costs associated with doing business really in a third world or developing country.
Well, that takes me to my next question. Which states are positioned to take best advantage of this reshoring?
Right-to-work states, also states that lack a personal or corporate income tax. Florida and Texas are on the radar screen like never before, obviously. Also South Dakota is doing a lot of great things. So Arizona and Nevada are also states that we see on the radar screen like never before as well.
We saw Georgia. We did a couple of stories over the last couple of weeks. Georgia had a lot of manufacturing going there. I just wondered if they were doing something specific.
Sure, they fit that profile of a state with a favorable tax structure, and they're right-to-work states. And Airbus recently announced a $600 million manufacturing plant in Alabama. That's a big project. That's a project that very easily could have went to China and probably would have 3 or 4 years ago.
Based on your inner workings with corporate guys, has there been an attachment to getting corporations to come back here and fixing the immigration? You mentioned it before, but do they go hand in hand?
When we sit down and talk to our clients, one of the big challenges associated with this country is the skills gap. And a way to address that is comprehensive immigration reform, extending H-1B1 visas, to make America the place where the best and brightest, the most industrious people from all around the world want to come and be a part of our workforce.
John, insightful, a pleasure, and we'll look to have you back and talk more about this. It's a big issue.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.